Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, or in today's trade recap, I'm going to be going over the trade I ended up taking today. Alright, so coming into the day, I ended up taking one trade right at market open, and it was so unfortunate. I feel like whatever, like I just got unlucky. Like, it is what it is, right? We're gonna go over that first, but first we're gonna go over bias. So good morning. Coming into the morning with a bullish bias, higher time frame. We are bouncing from weekly BISI. We just mitigated weekly opening price and tapped into the new weekly opening gap. For now, we have a 4-hour CRT low, looking to target 4-hour CRT high, being London session high. Okay, so as you can see, we mitigated weekly opening price. This new weekly opening gap, we swept the low inside of a key level. Now I'm looking for price to go higher. Okay, we're bouncing off this 30-minute. I know we are in between a SIBI and a BISI, but again, with narrative, you can clearly know that you're bullish. So I was expecting price to give me some longs. Okay, so we jump right in. Right here. As you can see, we're bouncing off this 30-minute. We inverse this 15-minute right here, and then we come back into equilibrium of the range, tapping into this 15-minute BISI and into discount. So, sorry, this 5-minute BISI and discount. So, I was looking for now an invalidation. Okay, I was looking for this 1 minute to get invalidated so I can go break even here inside of this 5. But then, what the price ended up doing, I was like, all right, like we tapped the 5, we can still invalidate this. So at this point in time, I'm like setting up my limit orders just in case 930 comes and immediately stops me out. So I was looking at NQ here, and at the same time MNQ on top sub X. And I was getting ready. I was going in 5 MNQs or 6 MNQs. I was risking, I don't remember. I think I had a little bit more. 5 or 6 MNQs. I had my stop like around here. And I was like, all right, like this looks pretty clear. I enter longs and I look at MNQ, and on MNQ it ended up inversing like really nicely. So I was like, oh, this is super clear. I'm like, let me make sure this inversed also on NQ. And as I'm looking at this, at first I thought it inversed, right? And then when I'm like actually looking at this, I'm like, oh my god, this actually didn't inverse. And I was like, this sucks. So I immediately put my stop, like in live time we were rejecting right here for a little moment. I immediately put my stop like at the low down here. So like I barely ended up losing that much, but I only lost 250, but it was an unnecessary loss. And that just kind of pissed me off. I was just so annoyed at that. I was like, bro, it's so unfortunate. Like, I hate that the fact that this is happening. Like just annoyed at the fact that that happened. But whatever, I ended up letting it go, and I was just looking at price action here. So, again, what are my confidences still here? 930 is opening lower. At this point in time, market basically immediately opened lower, so invalidating my bias, like, or this buying opportunity, right? 930 open lower, we ended up stopping me out, and it kept going lower. So I was like, okay, like we are still bullish. So we end up sweeping this low down here, and once we swept this low, I wanted to see some longs. And at this point in time, I thought we would be going higher. I believe for us to be going higher, but I wanted to see the internal structure. So we swept the low here, closed back in the range. Perfect. We came lower, we closed back down. And at this point, I was like, damn, are we actually not going to inverse? But then we end up forming this sweep of this low, CRT low on the 5-minute. Same thing on the 15-minute. So I was okay, like, how can I play this? We have a 5-minute unfilled here, 5-minute unfilled here. I don't like the closes of this. I believe we can go higher, but at this point in time, I took a loss, and I was like, I just want to take what is given. I don't care about catching big moves. Again, it's a Tuesday. I don't think we're going to get this big expansion to the upside again. Keep in mind, we ended up flushing to the downside 600 points. So I was like, I know we're volatile, but again, I don't expect this to go right back up for another 300 points from this low to this high. I just felt like it was unlikely. Again, maybe can we come here and mitigate 930 again, like we're doing so now? Yes. But again, I just want to take low-hanging fruit. So again, this 2-minute inverses after my conferences. So again, 930 is opening lower. We have a new weekly opening price. We're below that new weekly opening gap. We have 5-minute sweep of liquidity of the low, or 5-minute or CRT low, or 15-minute CRT low to this 2-minute invalidation. My break even was this internal right here. Again, I don't think this 5-minute right here, this 5-minute high, made sense to go break even because structure just didn't look like it. So I felt like if we hit this high, we're gonna hit this high. So I was comfortable with putting my break even here. So at this point in time, I went break even, and I'm waiting again for this 5 minutes to get hit. I mark it out on ES. ES hits it first by like 10 points earlier, so I close my position right around 51, probably like right here. So 61 points, a little bit more than a 1-to-1. Again, I risked like 500 on this trade to make 600 and something. So yeah, I lost 250, made six something, up around almost 380, almost 400, whatever, 370 on the account, times 5, putting me at like almost $1,700 on the day, probably, if that math is right. 7 times, yeah, I think that's a little bit more, I think, probably, but whatever. $1,500 on the day. Yeah, again, good day. Very stressful today, honestly. Like I didn't have any expectations coming into the day, but that just caught me off guard and it bothered me, like, bro. And it made it a little harder to hold this trade here, right? If usually, like, if I didn't take this loss, I don't know how I would have approached the trade, but usually I would have approached it definitely better, right? Um, Again, knowing that this could be the drawn liquidity and knowing that that is my drawn liquidity when 930 is opening lower, this is a partial to me, right? So on a trade like this SMT wouldn't affect me. Again, if I had 5 or 6 cons on this trade, risk would have been a little bit different. I would have taken off half of my position here and then held the rest to these highs, putting me at a really good day, right? But again, everything happens for a reason. I know it's frustrating, and even me saying that it's frustrating at times, but I gotta realize, like, I thought this trade was a good trade, and these are things that I can just improve on and just be like, all right, like, that's an unnecessary loss. Again, I didn't purposefully do that, but it's something that bothered me in the moment. So I'm okay. Again, although I had a strong feeling that we could go higher, I didn't like the way the 15-minute closed. Um, Again, it could have. Again, I could see it going higher because of 930, but all I wanted was, again, like I said, just this. This is all I really need. I was pretty happy with this execution, and yeah, pretty much it. I don't really have anything else to say. Yeah, again, this is my first trade of the week. Monday I didn't trade. Again, first trade here and first trading day of the week, I guess, for me. And we caught a dub. So again, one loss, and then of course my win always overtakes my loss. So again, I'm always gonna win more than I lose. That's just how my strategy is. But one thing I'm just really getting frustrated on, or I guess something I have to improve, is really cutting out those small losses that just are unnecessary, and they're very frustrating because um, going from a $300 day to a $600 day to a $700, $800 day it's a big difference, right? Like, I know it's only 300, but that 300 is like a trade that won't count. Like, those $300 don't go into your next trade. You know what I mean? That's like an extra little bit of sitting room. You know what I mean? That you have, especially on these evals. So like, again, although my drawn liquidity was these highs again, and look how we're really going to those highs, insane. I felt like I just played this a little bit on the safer side, and usually I wouldn't. Usually I would be the person to fucking hold this, but today we weren't in that mentality, unfortunately. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this trade recap. I'm actually happy I'm done for the day. Yeah, if you guys are asking, like, if you guys ever feel this way where like your drawn liquidity is right and you took an early loss and now you have to sit out and you can't really profit as much as you want to, how do I feel? Like, yes, it sucks, but I also know, like, I've caught many times a trade like this, so it may bother me. So if you have that emotion that were like, damn, you also made a mistake and you also are missing out on a trade that you knew was gonna go there. Just like I said, like, I knew my drawn liquidity was London highs. I said it was gonna be London highs, and that was my target for the day, and therefore I'm not even holding it to London highs. If you guys have that feeling as well, it's completely normal. Again, there's times you make mistakes. There's times where things don't go in your favor, but it doesn't mean anything, right? It just goes to show you know what you're doing, and just how you spotted it once, you're gonna spot it again, and many more times. So it's not something you should be sad about or upset about. It's actually something you should be grateful for. So I'm actually happy that instead of thinking about money and like holding this trade, I'm actually, you know what, like, I know I'm mentally not um, able to manage this trade and hold it to London highs or the 930 high, because of that loss, and I'm annoyed about that loss. So instead of like putting myself through what I know I won't be able to manage correctly, and it's just gonna frustrate me even more, I know what I can't take, and I should be taking just this. And that's the thing about trading. Like, it's little by little. Okay, so with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this trade recap, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.